Something really fascinating is happening in the world of aesthetics right now. We're in the middle of this huge shift away from that more is more look to something totally new, something that's all about vitality, not just volume. So let's dig in to what's behind this great unfill.
I mean, think about it for a second. Go back just a few years. That look, the one with the super sharp cheekbones, the really sculpted jawline, the perfectly full lips, it was everywhere. But today, well, it can look a little heavy, can it? So why is that? The answer to that question reveals a complete revolution in how we're thinking about beauty and aging.
To really get where we're going, we first have to understand where we've just been. And we're talking about the very recent past, an era that was pretty much defined by a simple philosophy: add, plump, and fill.
For years, the whole model was incredibly simple. You see a line, you fill it. You see a hollow, you plump it up. The main tool for the job was dermal filler, which is basically a gel-like substance, usually hyaluronic acid, that gets injected to literally fill up space under the skin. It was a very two-dimensional solution for a very three-dimensional face.
Well, this chase after every single line led to a clinical phenomenon called hypercorrection. And that's not just about looking a little done. It's an actual medical term for when so much filler has been used that it starts to distort the face, creating a result that's not just unnatural, but can even be physically uncomfortable.
Right, so doctors even have terms for this, like filler fatigue or a heavy face. And they break down the signs in a few key ways. Morphologically, we're talking about the actual shape. The sheer weight of all that filler can literally stretch out the skin. Optically, how it looks, you might see something called the Tyndall effect. It's this weird bluish tint when filler is too close to the surface. Dynamically, how it moves. The face can get kind of mask-like and stiff. And then there's the physical stuff. The body can react with chronic inflammation, sometimes even forming lumps called granulomas. So this big shift wasn't just about changing tastes. It was driven by a growing awareness and backed by some really serious medical research of the very real risks that came with that old philosophy of just filling everything up. Okay, so this is absolutely crucial to understand, the difference between a side effect and a complication. A side effect is something that's kind of expected and temporary, like a bruise. But a complication, that's an unfavorable outcome that can actually threaten your health and, you guessed it, requires medical help to fix. Side effects are the usual suspects, right? We're talking about stuff like bruising, some swelling, maybe a little temporary numbness. This is just the body's normal response to getting an injection, and it all typically goes away on its own in a few days. But the complications? Well, that's a whole different story. And the most feared ones, the ones that keep doctors up at night, all revolve around something absolutely essential for your tissue to survive: your blood supply. This is the absolute worst case scenario, necrosis. That means tissue death. So here's how it happens. Either filler gets accidentally injected directly into a blood vessel, that's an embolism, or a big blob of filler just presses on a vessel from the outside, which is called ischemia. Either way, the result's the same. Blood flow stops. And without oxygen, the tissue starts to die. This is a true medical emergency. So it was these risks, combined with that uncanny, overfilled look, that really led to a complete paradigm shift. So what does this new philosophy look like? Well, it's a completely different approach. I think this quote from Dr. Natalia Mikhailova just nails it. She says, "The current vector is achieving freshness and youth through a radical improvement in the quality of the skin, excluding the buildup of excess soft tissue volumes. The goal isn't to add volume anymore. It's about getting that youthful look by making the skin itself radically better." The new buzzword you're going to hear everywhere is silent beauty. It's all about regeneration, not just filling. The idea is to get results that are beautiful and refreshing, but not obvious. You just look better, more rested, more vibrant, and no one can quite put their finger on why. You just look like the best possible version of yourself. So, how are doctors actually putting this new philosophy into practice? It's all thanks to a new generation of technologies that work with the body, not just on it. All right, first up is one of the most effective, non-invasive ways to lift the face out there: ultrasonic SMAS lifting. You've probably heard it called HIFU. This stuff is incredible. It's like architectural restoration, but for your face. Instead of adding stuff on top, focused ultrasound goes deep, all the way down to the SMAS layer. That's the same foundational layer a surgeon tightens in a facelift. It creates these tiny, precise heat points that cause the whole tissue to contract and lift from the inside out. And the benefits here are huge. First,
It lifts and tightens without adding a single drop of volume. Second, it stimulates your own body to produce more collagen, which creates sharper, more defined contours. And get this, the results can last for years with basically zero downtime. Okay, next up in the toolkit is a procedure that's focused squarely on improving the density and quality of the skin itself, microneedle radiofrequency lifting. If the last one was architecture, think of this as personal training for your skin. These ultrafine needles create tiny microchannels and then deliver a pulse of radiofrequency heat way down deep in the dermis. This controlled thermal stress basically kickstarts a powerful healing response, forcing your skin to build brand new, strong collagen. So what about injectables? Did they just disappear? No way. They just evolved. It's time to meet the biostimulators, like poly-lactic acid.
This is a total game changer. Unlike traditional fillers that just kind of sit there as a gel, a biostimulator is more like a signal. When it's injected, it basically tells your own cells, your fibroblasts, to wake up and start producing brand new collagen. The product itself dissolves over time, but it leaves behind this new scaffold of your own natural tissue. And right here, this is the fundamental difference. The old way adds a product to create volume. The new way builds your own tissue. With traditional fillers, the result you see is the product. With biostimulators, the result is you. The volume appears gradually over a few months, and it looks completely natural because, well, it is.
So why does all this matter for you? Because being an informed patient is the absolute best way to stay safe. First, always go to a licensed medical clinic, never someone working out of their home. Second, check your doctor's qualifications and experience. Third, ask to see the product packaging to make sure it's certified and FDA approved. Be totally honest about your health history, and finally, follow those aftercare instructions perfectly. These steps are your safety net. Which really brings us to our final thought here. As we move from filling and freezing to stimulating and regenerating, you have to ask yourself, is all this incredible new technology really about creating something new? Or is it about using science to help us get back to the most vital, healthy version of ourselves? Something to think about, for sure.